This video will contain spoilers. F1, universally positive ratings. Apple original, watched in cinema with Dylan, Ginger, and Binman. Directed by Kosinski, starring Brad Pitt. Carrie Condon, I didn't know who she was at the time, but it turns out that she is the voice of Friday in the MCU. Damson Idris, Javier Bardem, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris. There's some other F1 like real life players like Carlos Sainz and all that, but I don't watch F1. Shea Wickham. Felt kind of weird saying him in this not so long after Mission Impossible. Samson Kao. Will Merrick. Is that Aloe from Skins? Got that. I find it like the third generation of Skins, like really no one is famous from that. You had like Dakota Boy Richards' career went nowhere. She hasn't acted in anything in years. The person that's the most successful is Sean Teal, and all he has done was he did a show that no one watched on Apple when it first started, and he's in that show Dr. Odyssey now, which no one seemed to be watching. But anyway, as someone who's not a fan of F1, there are 3 reasons to watch this movie. Number 1, Brad Pitt. Number 2, Joe Kosinski. And number 3, Apple. Going into it, Ben Mann said that he looked at some reviews and a lot of people saying that if you're a fan of F1, you won't enjoy the film. If you're not a fan of F1, you will enjoy the film. But the 4 of us enjoyed it. Ben Mann, he likes F1, the rest of us don't. We all enjoyed it. Like it really is surprising how good the film is, although it's over the top with how many crashes and shit there is. Like I asked my man at the end of the film, is there that many like crashes and shit in real F1? And he's like, nah. I know it wasn't intentional, but kind of having Lewis Hamilton as like a sort of bad guy in this film is based because fuck Lewis Hamilton. I get he produced the film, so it's not like it was intentional and all, and he doesn't really care, but still fuck Lewis Hamilton. If you're going to go into this expecting that it's going to be different from a lot of sports films where it's kind of like you have that retired guy who comes back and he like sort of mentors a younger guy and all that, this isn't much different. I don't know how these films end up seeming different and all, but like I feel like most sports films sort of have the same formula. Like it doesn't matter what sport the film is about; it's all the same for the most part. This isn't any different, but yeah, it's still really good. Anyway, I noticed that in the first scene where Sonny is playing Daytona, that one of the people he's racing against is called Guy Powell. I think that was intentional because Glenn was in Top Gun Maverick, which Joe Kosinski directed. I really can't think of anything else to say, so I apologize. Jurassic World Rebirth, universally negative ratings. I'm aware that the Rotten Tomatoes rating is bad as well. Directed by Gareth Edwards. Watched it in cinema with Dylan Binman and Dylan's cousin. Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali, Rupert Friend, and Manuel Garcia Rolfo. Is that the guy from the Lincoln Lawyer show? Yeah. Okay. To be clear, I have not seen Dominion. And I haven't seen... The last time I seen a Jurassic Park film was when Fallen Kingdom came out in cinema, which at this point was 7 years ago. So it's been a while. My opinion on the films is that one, obviously, is a fucking great film. Two is whatever. Three was shit. World is a great reboot. Fallen Kingdom was, I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember much. Really, the only thing I remember is they are in those like gyro pod things or whatever they're called, trying to escape from something. But I remember enjoying it at the time. And as I said, I never seen Dominion, but I'm aware that the dinosaurs aren't even like part of the film in any sort of like. I'm going to assume that they're there, but it's like bugs or something or the main villain. Um, as I said in my video for the trailer for the film, um, some of it looked cool. The bit where they rappel down into a nest to try and get some DNA from the egg, I think was really like that looked like it was going to be really fun, really adventurous. I thought it would have been somewhere near the start of the film. I thought it would have went in the order of the trailer because the trailer shows them rappelling down into the nest and then all the stuff on the boat. I thought it would have been the other way around. Or I thought it would have been that way, but no, it's the other way around where you have all the stuff on the boat. They crash the boat and then they get to the nest. Um, there were some things about the trailer that looked shit, like not necessarily looked, but there were some lines of dialogue that weren't good. There was a line where someone says, "Please don't tell me they're raptors," and Jonathan Bailey says, "They're raptors." That's not funny. That's an overused line. And there was another one where I think it was Jonathan Bailey again explaining the traits of one of the dinosaurs, and Scarlett Johansson says, "None of what you just said is good." I don't remember them actually saying that in the film. I think they took that out. So, taking all the bad shit, 99% of the bad shit out of the trailer, like from what was in the trailer, taken out of the final film, is the film good? Fuck no. It is so bad it's good. There's a lot that is absolute shit. For example, the very first scene, which shows what happened. Basically, it's like they're mutating the dinosaurs, like hybridizing them and shit, and they put them on another island to do all that because the project was a failure. And they have these like protocols for it, and like it's sort of like a quarantine type thing where you put like hazmat suit on and then you step into a decontamination area and then you step into where the dinosaur is. One of the people that was stepping into that area, he was eating a Snickers bar and he dropped the wrapper for it when he was done eating it. And like in a Final Destination film, fucking wind picks up the Snickers bar and causes it to go into some sort of vent in the decontamination room. And that causes the door to break, and it causes the computers to break, and that causes all the dinosaurs to get loose. And I thought, right, that's like fucking shit opening. Maybe the film gets better. No. Um, the first scene where you see River Friend and Scarlett Johansson, um, they try to give depth to Scarlett's character by having her grieve someone that died sometime before the film takes place, but it's not done well. Like some films can do it well, and this just isn't one of them. where you feel for a character you've just met. I don't feel for her character. I don't give a fuck. And I can't, like, what I've noticed in the film a couple times is someone will say something, and whoever they're saying it to will either not react at all to it, or they'll have a bad reaction to it. And then the character will repeat themselves, and they're like, "Yeah, well, that's good." For example, Ripper Friend says that, got a job for you. You're gonna be paid a fuck ton of money. But you're gonna be breaking into that island, and she's like, "No, not doing it. Don't care." It's like, and then he says, "I'll give you $10 million." She's like, "Okay, I'm in." Like, unless she thought that, like, when he said that she was gonna get a lot of money, unless she thought that he meant something less than 10 million, what the fuck was that? Because I mean, what he's doing, if successful, will make him a trillionaire. And he's only offering her $10 million. So it just doesn't make any sense. And it happens a couple other times in the film with other characters, but I can't think of any specific examples. There's a sort of B plot in this film where the A plot is Scarlet, Rupert, Jonathan, Marshalla, the crew of Marshalla's boat. They're all surviving, trying to get like the DNA samples that they need. And then, what's the guy's name again? Manuel Garcia Ruffo. His character, he has like a family that they were doing like some boat trip and accidentally entered into dinosaur territory, and Scarlet's crew rescued them, and then they got split up on the island again because Robert Friend's character, he's a villain, which I was kind of hoping wouldn't happen because ever since he left Homeland, all he's been doing is playing villains and doing Wes Anderson movies. And don't get me wrong, Wes Anderson, great director, love his films for the most part. Love seeing Rupert in them, but it's just stop giving him villain roles, please. And it wasn't just he's a villain; he's one of those. He's the kind of character that would say, "It's nothing personal; it's just business." He doesn't actually say that in the film, but it's the kind of person to say that. And it's the same with Fallout and Severance, where it's anti-capitalist bullshit. Now someone is gonna say, "Oh, but it's a Hollywood film, so how could they be anti-capitalist when they're profiting off the film?" It's not that the studio is anti-capitalist. Obviously, they're pro-capitalist because they're getting billions of dollars, but it's the writers and the directors and all that they are the ones who are anti-capitalist, and it's tiring. Fallout and especially Severance have the sort of armor that they are fucking good shows. Severance especially, like, god damn, it's great. But this is shit. They had too much of a reliance of jokes. I forgot to finish what I was saying earlier. I'll go back to that. They Manuel and his family, they get separated and they're surviving on the island. And actually, I can link this back to the point of there being too jokey in this film. The daughter discovers a baby dinosaur and tries to sort of adopt her by feeding her like M&Ms and shit, just all product placement. Usually, by the way, I don't have a problem with product placement, but it is excessive in this film, and I find it weird that Snickers would agree to have their brand be portrayed as the cause of all these people dying in this film. But anyway, yeah, tries to adopt the baby dinosaur and all that, and I would have been fine. But then she nearly causes them all to die because the mugger comes eventually, and the baby's calling out for the mugger, but the baby is in her bag, and her bag is on her shoulders. So like, it's just, I don't have a problem with you writing a child character as being stupid. Just don't make them a fucking retard. Um, Not only that, uh, the other daughter's boyfriend. Um, there's like 2 or 3 times in the film where he will go a little bit ahead of the other three and be like, I think we'll be fine. And then as soon as he says that, something happens. In most other films, it would be that, a dinosaur will come and kill him. Because irony. Look how smart the writers are being. Like, I think the problem with cliches is that, you know, they start off as, for the most part, smart ideas like that. That's not like smart, but it's clever. I'll say that. But then another film copies it, and then another, and it becomes so excessive to the point where it becomes a cliche. So what writers started doing is they started doing fake outs, like in this film, where the first time he says, "I think everything will be okay," and nothing happens. And then if there was a second time, he says it again, and nothing happens. And then the third time, he says it again, and he takes a step back and he falls over. He doesn't die or anything like that, but after he fucking falls, the rest of them, like, for some reason, just decide to fall down the hole he went down. Yeah, I get that, you don't want to leave a man behind, but don't jump down the fucking hole. Try and, like, stay where you are. Try to get something you can use to pick him up, like rope or vines or something. The B plot wasn't all bad, even though that guy, the boyfriend, is a prick. There is something good about it. His girlfriend falls off the boat earlier in the film, and he immediately jumps into the water to rescue her. That was good. And then the dad, who at this point, like, the dad does hate him, and he still does kind of hate him, but he's grateful that he loves the daughter so much that he's willing to risk his life to make sure that she is okay. That was well done. And then there was another scene where they thought that the younger daughter had died, and even though she has the plot armor of being a child, like, they're not gonna kill a 8-year-old or however old she is in the film, because it's a 12 rated film. Hell, even if we're an 18, I don't think the studio would be okay with them killing off someone so young. But the dad thinks that she's dead for like 5 seconds. I don't know, 5 seconds. The acting was on point. But then turns out she is alive, and his reaction to finding out she's still alive wasn't the best, because he kind of has a blank expression for a second, and then he starts to smile and be happy and excuse me, all that. It's as if, you know in that take, they just yelled action and hit the clipboard and all that. And then I think what you do when you say action is that you wait a couple seconds, then you start the acting. And I think that's what he did. But the editor kept that part in, even though you're supposed to cut it out. Speaking of the age rating, I seen a video a couple of years ago talking about there's this channel called The Closer Look, and he sort of analyzes story, like films, games, movies, whatever. I said films and movies. Just to see, how you can improve on bad films. And he made a video about the Jurassic Park series, and he said that his theory is that, say with Star Wars, you can make multiple Star Wars movies and have them be good. Like, every film in the original trilogy is good. In my opinion, every film in the prequel trilogy is good. And arguably Force Awakens is good, even though it is basically just a remake of New Hope. In other kinds of films, you can have sequels, and they're good. His theory is that Jurassic Park is something that can only be done once. I disagree. I think you can make another good Jurassic Park film. I just don't know. I didn't know how at the time. I think I have an idea now, but it's something that the studio will never go with. Make it a 15 or an 18. Like, something in this film is the violence is. It's a 12. Like, that's all you can say. The goriest thing about the film is Rupert Friend's death, where he gets ate by the I don't know what the fucking full name is, but just call him the D-Rex. But you see it from far away, so you don't see much. If the film were 15 or 18, they can do more. I think that if they did more, like they show more blood and all that, it could be good. I'm not saying that's all you need to fix this film, but if you make another film and make it more violent, it could be good. Just don't do like Titans, where it's like, we're taking this kids thing and making it dark. Don't try and make it dark, just make it violent. Don't have any swearing, don't have any sex or nudity. Like, just make a violent Jurassic Park film. Also, why is the film called Jurassic World? Doesn't really make sense. One last thing I have to say is that no one dies in the film, really, apart from Rupert Friend. There was a scene at the end where Mahershala's character sacrifices himself so that the others can run away, but they show him being alive at the end. So it just, the sacrifice didn't really mean nothing. I think it would have been an improvement if they killed him off and then Scarlet it sort of propels her character, because she won the mission, but at what cost? Because everyone else is dead. I mean, Jonathan Bailey is alive and the family and all that, but all of her crew are dead. And you could set up a sequel from there. Do I want a sequel to this film? No. Let Jurassic Park die. Do not make Jurassic Park 8. It just will not work. The studio will never make a 15 or an 18 rated Jurassic Park, so another studio. Jurassic is made by Universal, I believe, so say, I don't know, Paramount make a film like Jurassic Park, but just turn the violence up. It could be really good. How to Train Your Dragon 2, 14. Universally negative ratings, directed by Dean DeBlois, I believe. I just check. Yeah. I watched it on YouTube with Ben Man and Dylan. Jay Baruchel, Jared Butler, Kate Blanchett, Kit Harington, America Fiera, Digimon Hansu, Kristen Wiig, Jonah Hill, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, TJ Miller, Craig Ferguson, Gideon Emery, David Tennant. I've been talking too much, it hurts to talk when I need to take a drink. I said in my review for the last film that I don't know where you go from there, because it's either the villain will be a human, which, considering this is a kid's film, they're not going to do, or there's going to be another big dragon, but I don't get how that's going to make sense. This film has both. There's another big dragon, which it makes more sense now that I'm thinking about it more, because it could just be that, you know, you've got like, there's more than one Night Fury. There's more than one whatever the other types of dragons are called. You know, why would there only be one big dragon? Or boss, I think I called it in the review of the last one. And then that's for the human thing. I'm surprised they did that, but it worked really well. Digimon's, I know that pronunciation is so inaccurate to the point of being borderline racist. I apologize. His voice acting is fucking amazing. Like, he just shouts, and even though it only lasts like half a second, the impact of it is amazing. Is this the best film of the trilogy so far? I doubt that the third one is going to be better, because I've heard bad things about it. But is this better than the first one? Yes. Somehow, yes. I'm not a fan of the whole like Hiccup meeting his mum thing. I think that's kind of overdone, but whatever. I didn't say much for this one either, but I did see it a while ago. The reason why is because middle and end review judgment. I'm aware that for Yakuza 0 and Yakuza 6, I also did the middle and end reviews as one video. I apologize for that. I was going to make sure that I did free reviews for this. When I got to the point where I was going to make the middle review, I just got lazy. I was like, oh, I'll do it in like 30 minutes. I just want to play a bit more. Because, to be honest, making these videos are a bit of a hassle. But then, by the time I remembered, I wasn't too far away from the end, so I thought, shit, I'm just going to have to beat it then. So, game's great. All the way it didn't sort of do the thing that a lot of the Yakuza games did, where it's like you beat one boss and then he gets betrayed by someone else. It's like, oh, I'm the real boss, and so on and so on. This game didn't do that. I'm glad the game has basically no. There's no connection to Yakuza. Like, it takes place in Kamurocho, and you have things that are in Yakuza, like the Tojo clan, because it is part of the same universe, but no characters reappear. I would have thought they would have at least brought a minor character back, like Date, but they didn't. I'm glad. Although, something that was a little stupid was towards the end of the game, there's a bit where you have to go to a detective, and when they play the cutscene, they intentionally, like, make you think, oh my god, it's going to be someone from Yakuza, probably Date, because you already know that the character is a detective, but no, they reveal that it's actually someone who you tailed at the very start of the game. The only reason why I remember that it's that guy is because there's a PS5 version of the game, but there's no auto pop, which means I'm replaying the game from the start. But I have the game on easy, and I'm skipping all the cutscenes and shit. Speaking of easy, it there's 4 difficulties of the game: simple, easy, normal, and hard. Normal, just like Yakuza's 2 and 6, it's too easy because you can just constantly buy bentos and onigiris and stuff, like 10 of each different fucking flavor, and just use all those. I never once used medicine in the game. There were some times at the end where I used extracts, but that was it. And then as for simple, which is what I'm playing the PS5 version on, it's so easy to the point of fucking me over. And because, you know, you've got 3 different attack buttons in the game. You've got square, which is your normal attacks, triangle, which is your heavy attacks and your heat actions, and then circle, which is used for grabbing and throwing and picking up items. Every good thing is done with square. So you will constantly unleash heat actions when you don't want to. You'll pick up things when you don't want to. It's all just bullshit. Surprisingly, my final time on the game is 55 hours. I think what it is that the older games, even when you pause and you go off the game, they still count as you playing it. Which is why, my in-game time will be like 150 hours, but my PlayStation recorded time will only be like 50. I don't know what the PlayStation recorded time for the game is, but in-game was only 55. I tried to do, 99% of the game, as per usual. I did all of the side cases bar free. The reason for that being I don't fuck with Amon, which is the final side case. You need to make all the friends to do it. I'm not going to do that because the 50th friend on the list requires you to win at Mahjong. I'm not fucking doing that. And there were a couple others that I refused to do. I think my final friend count was 46. Like 46 completed. As for the girlfriends, I got them all to the max. I don't really have anything to say about that. It was interesting, but just something to throw into the game so that they can say that they threw something into the game, I tried to play the dice game. I don't remember what it's called. And the first time I played it, I thought, okay, that's quite fun. But like after I think only the second game, I was like, nah, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. The baseball challenges, both the home run challenges and the challenge courses, they're too hard. Maybe it's intentional, so that you buy the gold bat and the mitts off of that one friend, but I'm not too sure. Or it could just be that because the first time I played baseball, or not the first time, because I played it in Yakuza 2 as well, but I'm still used to the way it was in Yakuza 5, where Shinada was a baseball player, therefore he was better at it than Kiru or Yagami by default, so it was much easier. The stuff at the threat level was completely unnecessary. They should not have put that in the game. And fucking, I'm just going to move on from there. liloandstitch02, universally positive rating, directed by Chris Sanders and Dean Dubois. I watched it on Disney Plus. Chris Sanders, Ving Rhames, Kevin Michael Richardson, Amy Hill, Steve Bloom. Now that I've seen both the original and the remake, I'm surprised they changed as much. I thought that the remake was more accurate than it was. Um, my opinion on the ending of the remake, where Lilo's sister leaves to study marine biology or whatever, I think that's fine because it's not goodbye forever, and she is going on and doing her own thing. She's growing up, as character development, all that. I think that's fine. But something I don't think is fine is the fact that they made uh, the aliens that were responsible for capturing Stitch wear like sort of human suits. It just seemed like an excuse that they don't need to CG two people. They can just have the voice actors act physically, with no CG, no makeup or anything like that. It was better in the original where they just wear costumes, and even it's kind of like in American Dad where you can tell it's a fucking alien, but because it's a cartoon. Well, no, it just looked like a regular person to me. Um, it's weird that Lilo is voiced by a child in this, but the voice is more. I don't know. It's just better than the girl that played Lilo in the remake. I would have thought that Lilo would have been voiced by an adult, like Melissa Hutcherson or something, but no. There, a lot of the scenes in the film were done better in this than the remake. Like the scene where Stitches, or not, Lilo's sister says, "Go to your room," and Lilo says, "I'm already in my room," and all that. And what was the other one? Whatever, I made my point. So now that I've seen both, is it worth it watching the remake? Nah, not really. Just watch this, it's much better. Final review, Andor. The show fucking sucks. Like, that's all there is to it. Season 1, every single episode was bad, except for the one where he breaks out of prison. Season 2, I'm going to split into 4 parts because the first 3 episodes take place in BBY 4. 4, 5, and 6 take place in BBY 3, so on and so on. Part 1 was good, although once it gets to the point where Andor lands the ship and the rebels believe that he is not one of them, that he actually is part of the Empire, and that he's just a ship pilot or something like that. And then there's the standoff where like half the rebels are fighting the other half for whatever reason. I can't remember because I've seen it so long ago. That was boring. I really tried to hold on to that, but it was completely unnecessary. It was not good. Um, Part 2. What happened to part 2? I can't remember, to be honest. Right, yeah. So, part 2, it's just the same bullshit from season 1. It's just, I've said this in another review already, but I'm going to say it again. Tony Gilroy was clearly inspired by Game of Thrones. The way the Game of Thrones works is that the majority of the show is dialogue, and the dialogue is good. It has meaning and all that. And he tried to replicate it for this, but it didn't work. The dialogue doesn't have any meaning. It's one scene of pointless dialogue, then another scene of pointless dialogue for anywhere between 40 minutes to 50. And then, yeah, this scene that you can see in the thumbnail, like, this meant absolutely fucking nothing. What happened was this character was planting something on something in a museum, and she planted it, and that was it. Didn't go anywhere. Part 3. I'll go back to part 2 because something I forgot to mention. But part 2 is that, this was part 2. Verada Sefu, she was in season 1. I forgot about her being in season 1 until when I was watching Doctor Who, and she was the companion in Shirigawa's second season. And then I was watching Andor as well, and I realized, oh shit, yeah, she was in season 1. And then in season 2, she doesn't appear much. She's in like an episode or two, and all that happens is she kisses her girlfriend, and then her girlfriend doesn't die. She dies, and the girlfriend is like, says to the guy that killed her, like, oh, not even the guy that killed her. Like, what happened was that they were rebels, and they were going to blow something up. And you had this one guy that was standing overwatch just to make sure no one's coming past and seeing them doing shady stuff. Eventually, a drunk guy comes up, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Got me doing all that?" And the guy's like, "You need to go now. If you don't go, like I will shoot you." And they're wrestling with the gun and stuff, and it goes off and it hits Verada. Verada's girlfriend blames the rebel and not the drunk guy, and she's like, "Oh, she was the greatest person ever." And I get that, that you dated her, you would say that, but she's a fucking nobody. She didn't have any purpose in the show, and really no one in the show has any sort of purpose in the higher scheme of Star Wars. I mean, technically, yeah, Andor, because he was part of the plan to steal the blueprints for the Death Star, but that was more Jyn Erso. Everyone else in the film was just there, I guess. But anyway, part 3. Part 3 was actually good because episode 8 had a fucking, like, Red Wedding type massacre in it, and it was done really well. I didn't expect the show to do that, because the show doesn't have any balls, but then it grew some. And then it immediately lost them, because 10, 11, and 12, there's some bits of action in there, and the fact they brought Kay back, like, that's all good. And the way that the ending led into Rogue One, that was all quite good, but it was just, it's like, if it weren't for part 3 of season 2 and the one episode of season 1 where the break out of prison, this would have been the peak of the show, but it still is just like, it's not really all that good. So yeah, this show fucking sucks.